Hello Sumit, you're welcome to another beautiful video tutorial. So in this video, we'll be learning how to make this two-piece, the vintage shirt with collar and a trouser. If this is what you want to know how to make, let's get right into it. This video is very detailed for beginners also. I took my time to explain everything slow and steady. So if this is what you want to know how to make, let's get started. So don't mind this thing on my dummy because I pin it for it to fit into the dummy. Okay, so this is the fabric I'm using. Only one part of it is stretchy, is the crepe fabric. So to get started, I have my pattern paper already ruled out. I left 4 inches on the upper part because I'll be drafting both the front and back together. Okay, then on the side I left 2 inches. Okay, so now the next thing we'll be doing now is to get the hip height, the hip line, and the crash measurement, then the towel line, because from the thumbnail you will see that it is fitted from the waist straight to the knee side before it's now became free. Okay, so the standard I use, the calculation I use to get in her crush line is I divide the hip by 4 and I add 1 inch to it. So if your hip is if your hip measurement, if your hip circumference is 40 inches, if you divide it by 4, it will give you 10. If you now add 1 inch to it, that's 11. It means from your waist to get your crush length, you measure 11 from your waist. So I've also marked the hip line. Now from the waist, I measure 8 inches down to get the hip line. Okay, so I'm labeling it the waist, the hip line, and the crush line. The next line we will have to get now is the towel line, okay, because you know that it is fitted on the towel area. So now the standard to getting your towel measurement, if you're not working with a very big person, is 2 inches from your crush is your towel measurement. Okay, so you just rule 2 inches below your crush like this. So after doing that, we're going to take our hip measurement. Now this hip measurement will be resting on the hip line, it will be resting on the waistline, and it will also be resting on the crush line. Do you get? Because now we are going to go ahead to measure the real waist measurement. So you can see me on the hip line. I'm imputing her hip measurement. So that same measurement I impute for the hip, I will extend it to the crush line. Okay, I will impute it to the crush line. On the waistline also, I will also impute the hip measurement. Then I will rule a straight line. Okay, so after rolling a straight line, we'll be coming back to impute the normal waist measurement. But first of all, we'll have to get the crush extension. Okay, so now I will just extend the line so that we can get that crush part correctly. So how do you get the crush? Now divide the hip measurement we put on the crush line now. Divide it by 4. So first of all, I folded my tape into 2 to get the half part, and I divided the half part again to get the quarter. So whatsoever it gives to me now is what I will use in extending the crush line. Okay, so if what you get there is 4, you know that you are extending by about 2 inches. Okay, so after extending like that, you just carry your curve ruler and connect it straight to the hip line. Can you see what I'm doing? Connect it. Make sure your curve is perfect, okay? So that it will sit well on your client. So after that, the next thing we'll be doing now, we have to get the midpoint of the pants that we're working on, okay? Now, before we can get the midpoint, we have to get the full length of the trouser. So from the waist now, I'm going to measure it down to the full length of the measurement I'm working with, okay? So I'm just extending it. Now, I'm going to shift the paper up for us to see, okay? I'll shift it up for us to see the lower part. So I will get the full measurement, I will mark it. And after marking it, I will add extra 2 inches to it for my hemming allowance to the lower part, okay? So that's just what I did. I will shift it up for us to see. So I added extra 2 inches. Now, after doing this now, the next thing we'll be doing now is to get our new point. Where is the new measurement going to rest on? I didn't take the measurement of her new when I was measuring her, but there is a standard in which you can achieve that. So now this is me shifting it up because we have to get where the new measurement will be. Okay, so now what you do, from the cross line, measure straight to the lower part of the trouser, to the full length of the trouser. Don't add the extra 2 inches we added for hemming allowance. You can see where I'm starting from, right? Measure it to the cross line. So from there now, divide it by 2. Okay, so just mark it like this. Then after dividing it by 2, minus 2 inches from that place you marked. Now I will go ahead and remove 2 inches from it. Okay, so you can see I came up by 2 inches. So from the cross line, measure to the full length of the trouser, divide it by 2, minus 2 inches from it to get the new length of your client. It works for me every time. So after getting the new part now, the next thing we'll be doing now is to get the midpoint of the trouser, because we cannot impute the towel knee measurement and ankle measurement without getting the midpoint, okay? Because it's kind of tricky imputing those points. So what you do to get the midpoint, on the same cross line, measure from the edge, the cross extension now. Measure from there to this other end, okay? So you can see me flipping the camera the other way so we'll understand better. So from the cross extension, measure to the other end, okay? Can you see what I've done? Then divide it by 2. Okay, so when you divide it by 2, whatsoever it gives to you, you mark it from the side. Okay, if it's 7 inches, mark 7 inches straight down. Now I'm not extending it to the waistline because this trouser is not carrying that. It's a dartless trouser. If I was making the one with that, I would have added it. Okay, so now we'll just rule a straight line from the cross line straight to the full length of the trouser. Okay, so now you can see how I am extending the line. Now, like I said earlier, the line is not extending to the waistline because it is a dartless trouser, so we don't need it extending upwards. Okay, so I'll just rule it straight down like this. Now we will have to get the towel measurement. So whatsoever the towel measurement is, divide it by 4. Okay, divide it by 4. Whatsoever it gives you, you start your measurement from the midpoint. Let's say the person's towel measurement is 28. Divide 28 by 4. Now if you divide 28 by 4, it's going to give you about 7 inches, right? So that 7 inches now is what you will go ahead to measure. You measure 7 inches to the left, you measure 7 inches to the right. Watch me do it. I'm starting from the midpoint, the line we just created as the center of the trouser. Okay, that's where the measurement is starting from. So after dividing your client's towel by 4, whatsoever it gives you, if it's 5, mark 5 to the left, mark 5 to the right. You see what I just did, right? So I'm just extending this line so that it will match up with the towel measurement I just marked. Okay, so after doing that like this, the next thing I will do now, the same thing we did for the towel line, we will do it for the new line. So divide the new measurement by 4. Whatsoever it gives you, let's say it's 3. Measure 3 to the left, measure 3 to the right. Okay, just do it like that. So the same way we use in measuring the towel line, the same way you used to measure the new line. Then on the ankle line, what I did was I added extra 2 inches to our ankle measurement because I wanted it to be free a little. So you just mark it. So when you divide whatsoever the ankle measurement is, divide it by 4. Mark it to the left and mark to the right. Same way we did for the crouch and for the towel and the new measurement. So you just go ahead and connect straight. You just connect all the towel lines, all the towel markings, just connect everything together. You can see what I'm doing, right? So after connecting it together, the side also, you will also connect it together. So after connecting to the thigh line on the side, the next thing we have to do now, we have to impute the waist measurement because it is the hip measurement we extended to the waist part. So for us to impute the waist measurement, you start your measurement from the center front, okay? The crotch part. So you start your measurement from there and you mark your waist. You can see what I'm doing. Then go ahead with your curve ruler and connect it straight to the hip line. Okay, so at this point, I hope we are not confused about it and I hope we understand to this extent. If there's any part you don't understand, don't forget ask question. Okay, if there's anything you feel about the video, just drop a comment, whether positive or negative. I still have something to learn from it. So thank you very much. So you can see me connecting the lines. Okay, I'm just making sure that it's not giving any sharp edges at the corner. Okay, so I'm connecting from the hip line to the towel line. So this is what we have. So now, in case you want to make a very bogus lower part for the trouser, you want the lower part of the trouser to be very big, this is what you will do. On the, this trouser we're working on, it is fitted straight to the nail part. So now let's say you want to make the lower part of it bigger, then you want the other side to be fitted to the nail part. So what you do, you just extend it. Okay, so now you're not extending from the nail line. No, I made this mistake. What you are doing, you are extending from the ankle line. Okay, the other line, you can see what I'm doing. You are extending from the lower part. So you can decide to extend with 2 inches, you can decide to extend with 3 inches, you can decide to extend. That depends on how big you want it. Okay, but here I used 2 inches, and at the end of the day my client told me that it was too big and I had to cut from it. Okay, so now if you don't want yours to be so big, you can extend it with like 1 inch, so that it gives you that freeness on the lower part. Okay, so after doing that, after extending it, now I will not have to reconnect. Okay, I will not have to reconnect everything back to the crush part. So after proper reconnection like this, we'll go ahead to draft the back pattern. Okay, so we're using the same paper for the back pattern also, because we will cut the back pattern first before we cut the front pattern to save paper. And it is even easier, it saves you the stress of redrafting. So to get the back pattern, the front, first thing you need to do is to get the crush line. So divide the front crush by 4, whatsoever it gives you, extend it. Use it to extend for the back rush. Then on that point, come down by half an inch. Where you mark for the back rush, come down by half an inch. Mark 2 inches from the waistline to the hip line and rule a straight line. You can see what I'm doing. Then after that, pick your curve ruler, connect from the half inch you came down with on the crush part for the back crush. Okay, connect it straight to the hip line, the 2 inches on the hip line. Okay, so after connecting it this way, you go ahead, the 2 inches we added on the waist to the hip line, go ahead and extend it to the lower part, because it has to go round the trouser. Okay, so the 2 inches now, I'll go ahead and mark it on the nail, and I'll go ahead and mark it on the lower part. So after marking it, I will go ahead and connect all the lines together. Okay, so you can see what I'm doing. I'll just go ahead and connect the lines to the nail, then from the nail to the crush part. Now on this crush part area, it was kind of trickish, because it was giving me this very curved edge that I really do not like, but I tried blending it out with my ruler. So now this is what it looks like. So like I said before, you can see that the lower part is really big, and I reduced it at the end of the day. So please don't make yours as big as mine. So on the waistline for the back part, the reason why we left 4 inches on the upper part of the paper, come in by 2 inches on the center back, then connect it straight to the waistline. Okay, now why are we doing this? When you sit down, your pants draws down. Okay, so that it doesn't expose your bum bum, you have to increase it upwards by 2 inches. So the part I'm using for the pocket is 2 inches width, then the depth is 5 inches. Okay, so it's 2 by 5 that I just connect with a straight ruler like that. Okay, so I'm just using my tippers to correct the lines that I drew earlier, trying to curve it properly so that we don't get confused. Okay, so this is me still trying to work on this part, because it's quite curvy and I don't want it that way. So after doing this now, our pattern is ready. So I'll go ahead and cut it out so that I can go ahead and cut on my fabric. But when cutting, you should watch how I'm cutting it so that you don't make mistake, because this pattern is carrying both the front and the back pattern together, and you can see how easy it is to make it. And I hope that at this point I have really done a very good work in explaining this pattern to us, and that we understand it to an extent. If there's any part that is not clear to you, please ask questions. I have several videos on my channel on trousers. You can go and see. I have the one for pencil trouser. I'll be dropping the link in the description box. So this is me. We have to cut the back pattern first before we go ahead to cut the front pattern. Okay, so here is me. I folded my fabric and I've placed my paper on it. I'll just go ahead and cut it out, and after that we will trim the back part from the paper so that we can use it to cut the front pattern. So you know that this one now is the back pattern we've cut because it has all of the extra extensions on it. So I will go ahead and trim all of them. You should be watchful and very careful to see how I am trimming it so that you don't make mistake also. Okay, so I will just go ahead and trim everything out. You can see how I'm doing it. So after trimming it out, I will go ahead and use this pattern to cut the front pattern of the trouser. So here is the front pattern. I've gone ahead to cut it, and this is what we have. So the next thing I will do now, I want to mark the part for the pocket on the main fabric. I have the two sides of the front fabric on each other. Okay, so I'm cutting the two at the same time. Remember that the depth of the pocket is 5 inches, the width is 2 inches. Okay, don't forget that. So after rolling a straight line, I'll go ahead and cut it, so that part is where the pockets will be resting. Okay, so after doing that, the next thing now, I will go ahead and get a very straight fabric that I will use to make the pocket for it. So I will be showing us the simplest way I know how to make a pocket. So here is my fabric. It is two of it. I have two pieces of this fabric and I'm putting them on each other. So these two pieces of the fabric is going to serve for the two pockets. Now the fabric on this material is really not that enough, so I'm managing it. That's why the fabric is no bigger than this. Okay, so now I will place the trouser part on it so that I can get the curve for the pocket part. Okay, so you can see how I'm spreading it on it. You see how I'm spreading it on it? So after spreading it like this, I will go ahead and cut it following the line on the main trouser part. So after cutting it, we will go to the next step. If you're still watching this video to this extent, don't forget to comment, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you are a new subscriber. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you very, very much. I want you to know that you mean so much to me, and I will not be here without you. There will be no Come Fashion without you. I'm really grateful and I appreciate your love. I appreciate all of your support. Thank you very much, and may God richly bless you for always returning back to my channel. So after that, you can see what I've done. So this is how you're going to fold it at the end of the day, and that's where your hand will be sliding through. So like I said, my fabric is not big enough, so I'm just managing this fabric. Okay, so now after that, now just spread the trouser part where the pockets will be coming into. Then you pick a pieces. Pick the one piece of the fabric that we've cut as the pocket. Then you make sure you arrange it well that it will fit in. Okay, so you see how I'm placing it. So you place it this way. You make sure you flip it on each other, right side facing right side, with the curves meeting accordingly. Okay, so you just run a straight stitch from the waistline to the edge where the pocket is stopping. So I'll go down and do that. So after joining it, this is what we have. Do you see what we've done? So after that, this is how you're going to fold it together to get the pocket you want. Okay, can you see what we've just done? Can you see what we've done? You can see me opening it again. So you fold it together like this. So the joining you've made earlier has gone inside. So you fold it together like this. So I will go ahead to the ironing table and iron it because it's not relaxing very well. So after ironing it, this is what we have. Okay, so I'm showing us again how to do it. Flip it. So it's going to bring the wrong side now by the time you flip it. Okay, so you just pin the edge down. Now you can decide not to pin, but this fabric I'm working with is frail. Like the fabric, I don't know, but it's difficult to work with, so I have to pin it. So I will pin the waist part also. I will pin it down before going to the machine to press it down. So I will press the waist part down and I will press the side down. Okay, so you can see what we have, that the pocket is already coming out. So you press the side, press the waist side, then on the inside, you know the lower part is open. Go ahead and run a straight stitch to stitch it up. So I'll go ahead and do that and come back. So after doing that, this is what we have. I've gone ahead to join it and I've closed the lower part. I've done the same thing for the other side of the trouser of camera. I've gone ahead to attach the pocket to it. So our pocket is ready like this. So the next part of this trouser is to join the flap area together, like the crotch area. Just go ahead and join it. So we'll be doing the same thing for the back pattern also. Place them on each other, right side facing right side. Go ahead and join the crotch together. Okay, so you can see what we have. Just place it right side facing right side. Go ahead and join it together. Then after joining, this is what we have. I've gone ahead to join the center. Okay, so I will just spread it open for us to see what I have done at this point. This is the front pattern and this other one is the back pattern. So the next thing we will do now, right side facing right side, place the front and back pattern on each other. Okay, just place it on each other like this. Then you go ahead and pick the crotch part. Please don't make the mistake of joining the side of your trouser first when joining your trouser. Okay, first of all, join the crotch part, both sides. So after joining the both sides, can you see? Just join the both sides first. Okay, so after joining the lower part, you can now go ahead and join the side, both sides, the sides. Just join the sides together. So after joining the sides together, this is what we have. So now you can see what we have, right? So I'll go ahead and flip it to the right side so we can see what we've done. So now I went ahead to make an opening for my zip allowance. Okay, so I will be attaching a zip to the side of the trouser, so I made an opening for the zip allowance. Okay, so the next thing we'll be doing now is to attach a band to it. Now to attach your band, you have to measure the waist round, whatsoever it gives to you. Go ahead and use it to cut your band, adding extra 1 inch to it, because you're going to join the both sides of the band before attaching it to your trouser. Okay, so this is the fabric I have that I want to use for the band. The fabric is on fold. Okay, and the width of the fabric is about 6 inches. So I'm measuring the waist of the trouser again before I will go ahead and cut on the fabric. So like I said, the fabric is on fold. Okay, so and the width of the fabric is 6 inches. So by the time I fold in and do everything I want, it will go back to about 2.5. Now mind you, I did not minus the band from the pattern when I was drafting it. Don't do that. If you do that, your trouser will be so short. Don't do that. Okay, don't minus your band from your trouser. Sew the full length of the trouser and add the band to it. It's still going to give you the same measurement. Okay, so here is the band. I'll go ahead and join both sides. So after joining both sides, can you see? I'll go ahead and join both sides of the band. So after joining both sides of the band, I will now go ahead, attach it to the fabric. But I did one thing. I added paper stay to the band. Can you see? I added it because it was too soft. Okay, so I had to give it a little weight. Okay, a little structure. So now if you want to sew your band, spread your band open. Okay, you can see how I'm spreading it. Spread it open. First of all, pin only one part of it round. So I'm pinning the part that has this thing. I've gone ahead to sew it. and I went ahead to sew only the part that has the stay. So you are just going to go ahead and push it in. So the part you use in joining it now, push it in, then fold this other part on top of it. Can you see what I'm doing? Fold it on top of it like this. Go ahead and pin it. So now you will continue folding and pinning it. Continue folding and pinning it until you're done pinning it all round. Then you go to your sewing machine and sew it. Now you can see how I'm pinning it, right? It's exactly the same thing you do. You'll be pushing the joining inside. So I'll go ahead and sew it round. After sewing it, this is what we have. So now the trouser is ready. The next thing I will do off camera is to add my zipper to it and hem the lower part, and the trouser is ready. So by so doing, we've come to the end of the video, because I will just go ahead and attach the zip on it. Then I will fold the lower part, like I will hem the lower part of the trouser, and the trouser is ready like this. Everything about it is ready. So bye, see you in the shirt part of this video. Thank you.